This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, tablet, Xbox, games, or a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. Remember, current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% off almost everything. To browse the products and learn more about the discounts, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. So we've talked a lot over the past 2 years about the ongoing feud between Epic Games and Apple in particular. There has been a fight between Epic and Google as well, but the real front line of this fight has been with Apple. The fight has been over, in particular, Apple's overall walled garden. Abram and I have expressed our opinions on walled gardens, and Epic Games has as well. They feel that the way they are treated, particularly by Apple, is unfair, that they are using their position in the market to bully publishers, developers, and everybody else into doing things that are patently against their best interests. In particular, the 30% commission on in-app purchases that is required to be given to Apple, even though most developers don't want to use Apple's technology in the first place. But Apple requires it as the only option. There have been some changes over that, in large part because of Epic Games. The biggest change came about with the introduction of the... I can never remember. The Digital Markets Act in the European Union. Basically, this prevents what they call gatekeepers. It creates a definition of a gatekeeper, which Apple falls within, and it prevents gatekeepers from being that. It prevents them from being the only option for things like payment systems and app stores and things like that, opening up the capability for web-based payment options or direct Square or Stripe integrations, things like that, but also the ability to have third-party stores. Epic has been very excited about this prospect, as has Microsoft and a couple of other companies who have all seen this as a way to bring their products to iOS when Apple has made it very difficult. In Epic's case, they pulled Fortnite from the store entirely. In Microsoft's case, they were making Xbox Game Pass basically impossible because they were considering it a third-party store, whereas on Android, semi-Wild West, Game Pass works like a champ over there. But Epic has a couple of issues still outstanding. The first is that Apple has said, sure, we'll allow third-party payments, but we're going to take a 27% commission on those. Epic doesn't think that's going to work very well and is fighting that. But what happened this week was even more interesting. As the DMA went into effect, they actually, Apple went so far as to terminate Epic Games' Swedish division's developer account for about 24 hours and sent them some reasoning, which was possibly a little more forthright than they meant to be. They definitely disclosed some stuff. They openly said that it was punitive and that they were, quote, verifiably untrustworthy. It's an interesting accusation against a developer account that had existed for less than 30 days, if I remember correctly, that they were verifiably untrustworthy. But obviously there was some backlash. Epic put out a statement. The upper management all put out public statements, and Apple backed down on this in, I think, less than 24 hours. I think it was about 22 hours. The account was reinstated. But, I mean, There's a couple of things here, Avram. First, the timing was very odd. Just as the law goes into effect, they decide to kind of violate it, and then they also admitted that they were doing it for punitive reasons. All of that seems like a bad look to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not a great look for Apple. What else is new? Uh, they're not happy,
particularly
and I mean,
particularly in this fight.
yeah. Well, this is a company that's gone against them. Don't go against. You never go against the family. Although I think that's not really fair to say, since I wouldn't say that Microsoft was I mean, Apple was the family for Epic Games, but nevertheless, uh, they're not. Apple's not happy. I mean, they're not happy to have to do this. Period. And this is the company that's making them do it. So yeah, I can see the issue here.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. The whole thing came off odd to me. But again, the timing on it, as the DMA goes into effect, they're like, "Hey, no, we're gonna terminate your account for that has a developer account that has published nothing from a division that has published nothing, who has the stated intent in an email included in the blog post that we have linked on the website, that just says our intent is to, under the DMA, publish an Epic Games iOS store. That's the only intention of this developer account. Now, untrustworthy. Whoop, we're exercising our right to kick you out. Uh-oh. I suspect that the only reason they returned the account is because of public backlash and fear of further EU interference. That's my current suspicion.
Yep.
It's
Yep. I mean, look, Apple doesn't have to care what people think about what they're doing here, though. I have to say, because who's gonna stop them, really?
the EU. I mean, but that takes
Yes.
it's not a fast moving ship. It takes a lot to turn a cruise ship, right? So the EU, it's not like they're going to step on it immediately, but they do. The EU does seem to harbor particular feelings about Apple.
Yeah. They're not. Yeah. I mean, they're not. They're not pleased with the situation. But on the other hand, what are they going to? What are I mean, they can regulate them, but they can't
Right.
make them be nice.
True.
You can't
I mean,
make them do it.
they could fine them for violation to the DMA.
Yeah, they could do that.
Definitely interesting as this digital marketplace act goes into effect. Kind of specifically targeting Apple, a little bit Google, but not really. Mostly targeting Apple. It's going to be very interesting to see how this relationship, which is like, it's definitely an abusive relationship between these two, and it's not going to get better as Epic starts to stand up. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how all of this progresses between Epic and Apple over, let's say, the next 6 months, particularly if Epic Games Sweden does get an app store onto iOS without having their account terminated again. It will be very interesting to see how Apple deals with all of this. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell, because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.